Good morning, everybody. I have got our lesson for today. We're going to talk about gravity and friction. So we're going to go through this lesson kind of quickly. I need you to get your comp book out and make sure that you're taking notes on this. So as you're going through the video, I'm going to move through kind of quickly, but you can pause, take the notes that you need, and we'll get through it kind of quickly, okay? Gravity and friction. All right, so force. How many of you brushed your teeth this morning? I hope all of you did. To get that toothpaste out of that tube, you had to put a little force on there to get that toothpaste out of there. All right, sitting in a chair, you had to do something as simple as pull that chair out to sit down. Both of those things take force. Okay, so contact force. All different types of contact force. Using a karate instructor using his elbow to break some stone. Playing the piano, using your fingers, exerting force on the keys to make the sound. Sports, baseball, swinging that bat, hitting the ball, you're exerting force. Contact force is a push or a pull on one object by another that is touching it. Again, feel free to pause and take your notes. Non-contact forces, okay? Dropping something and letting it fall. Air resistance. Okay, and there's static. All of these are non-contact forces, which is a force that one object can apply to another without touching it. Again, please be sure you're taking notes in your comp book. Strength and direction of forces. We've seen arrows before. We've talked about arrows with direction, speed, acceleration. Arrows can also be used to show force. The length of an arrow indicates the strength of the force. The direction is going to indicate in which direction the force is applied. Okay, and the SI unit for force is going to be Newton, whereas when we talked about acceleration, the SI unit we used was meters per second squared. The SI unit for force is Newton. Okay, if you were to pick up a loaf of bread, or try to squeeze bread, 1 Newton of force would be an approximate number on the amount of force, whereas if you had to open a 2 liter of Coke, it would take about 20 Newtons of force to make that happen. All right, so what is gravity? Gravity is an attractive force that exists between all objects that have mass. Mass is the amount of matter in an object. Law of universal gravitation. The man who created the theory of universal gravitation is Sir Isaac Newton. He said that all objects are attracted to each other by gravitational force. Okay, and the strength of the force depends on the mass of the object and the distance between them. Gravitational force and mass. As mass increases, gravitational force also increases. Gravitational force versus distance. As distance increases, the gravitational force decreases. All right, weight. When we hear the word weight, this is an image that we automatically see. We picture getting on a scale and getting a number as to how much we weigh. Weight is actually the gravitational force exerted on an object. Friction. We've all seen this image. Some of us have actually done this, sliding across a slick floor or in your socks. Friction is a force that resists the motion of two surfaces that are touching. Okay, so if you were to try to do that with no socks, probably wouldn't work very well. Even on carpet, probably wouldn't work very well either. Types of friction, we have static friction, sliding friction, and fluid friction. Static friction prevents surfaces from sliding past each other. The force of friction between surfaces not in motion. Okay, so looking around, I can see book bags, books, boxes, chairs, tables. All of those things are sitting still. They're static, has static friction, no motion between the surfaces. Sliding friction opposes the motion of surfaces sliding past each other. Okay, the force of friction that affects surfaces in motion, less powerful than static friction. Okay, so you imagine pushing a box or pushing something across the floor. There is still motion, but there's friction between the two surfaces, which is affecting the surfaces in motion. Fluid friction, friction between a surface and a fluid, any material that flows, for example, water and air. All right, air resistance. Objects with more surface area will have more air resistance. And I do have a little experiment. Let me grab my paper. Okay, we have a little experiment we're going to show you to demonstrate air resistance. Okay, so objects with more surface area will have more air resistance. All right, so two normal pieces of paper, one still perfectly flat, the other wadded up. Same exact pieces of paper, types of paper. No difference in weight. The only difference is the surface area. Okay, so if I take both of these, hold them at the same height, and drop them at the same time, which one is going to hit the floor first? Okay, obviously the one that's wadded up. I'll pick those up in a second. Okay, and the reason for that is the one that is flat has more surface area, which causes more air resistance. Okay, what causes friction? Microscopic roughness on one surface catches on the microscopic roughness of another surface, which slows sliding between the surfaces, causing friction. Okay, look at that image right there. Think about what that might be. You see all the particles, you see all the roughness, all the bumps, all the grooves. Okay, what do you think that might be? Okay, it's probably going to surprise you to hear, but that is actually glass. Okay, so if you could see that when you look at a piece of glass, would you want to rub it? Probably not. But the glass in your window, the glass on your phone, that's a microscopic image of glass. Okay, so when you see glass and you feel glass, that's not exactly what you picture or what you feel. So if you were to take surfaces like that and try to rub them together, move them together, there would be some amount of friction between those two surfaces. Okay, reducing friction, there are ways to do that. Less contact between the microscopic dips and grooves causes less friction. So if you take your hands and you rub them together like that, you can feel and hear, and actually physically hear that friction between your hands. But when you're washing your hands and you put that slippery soap on there and you're rubbing your hands, you're not hearing that and you're not feeling that friction. It's because you have something between your hands. You have something in those dips and grooves of your hand. It's causing less friction. Motor oil in a motor, same exact scenario. You've got oil in a motor to cause less friction. Friction in a motor is not a good thing. And another example would be grease on a pan. All right, so that's our lesson for today. I'm going to post your work for today and tomorrow on Google Classroom along with your reading guide. This will just be something that you read. There are questions to be answered. This is just for your use, and you definitely don't want to skip that because there will be a quiz on Thursday. The quiz will be posted Thursday morning, and I need it done by Thursday afternoon. I sent a remind. And we really need you guys that are doing Reconnect, please try to formulate some kind of schedule. We are coming to school. We're here every day, but our 8th grade students who are not Reconnect are here Tuesday and Thursday. So one suggestion I would like to make is if you're Reconnect and you're at home, let Tuesday and Thursday be your school days. Okay, get up, get your schoolwork done, and you'll have Monday and Wednesday, and Friday as well to get caught up on some of this work. Okay, so we really need you guys to stay on top of things because as teachers, we're losing a little bit of planning time, actually quite a bit of planning time trying to track down all of these missing work items that we're missing from Reconnect kids as well as some of the kids here at school. So parents, if you happen to be watching, We really need help in this area. So if you could help your student formulate a schedule, that might be helpful. And anything that we can do to help, please let us know. Also, I'm going to post, as I said, the reading guide and your work. There will be 2 pieces of work. Both need to be completed and returned. And I'm doing it a little different. You're going to have it on Google Slides where you can actually type on the form itself instead of having a separate Google Doc. I hope that makes it a little easier. And then also a vocabulary sheet will be posted as well. Okay, thank you guys. Anything we can do to help, let us know.